conflict. Our next guest, Nhial Deng Nhial, has been one of the most prominent figures in the SPLM for over 4 decades, holding a variety of senior positions, including the country's foreign minister. Many have tipped him as a future president. So it came as a real shock when he broke with the SPLM earlier this month, launching a withering critique of the South Sudanese political elite. When we spoke in our London studio, I asked him what he thought was going wrong in South Sudan.
I would say that South Sudan is being run down. The problems are huge. Basically, total failure of governance. Nothing is working. There is very serious political instability that has actually manifested itself in violence all across the country. There is intracommunal violence, intercommunal violence, and of course political violence. The economy is in shambles. The South Sudanese currency basically is now worthless. And life is extremely hard for most South Sudanese these days. We believe that this situation is being perpetrated by the refusal of the regime, President Salva Kiir personally, to allow the transition to run its course. After the conclusion of the peace agreement in 2018, the provisions of those peace agreements have not been implemented. They are being implemented selectively. And that the implementation of course even is being violated. The agreement itself is being violated. The government is dragging its feet on the implementation.
Do you think President Salva Kiir would lose elections, even given the historical weight of his party, the SPLM, which took South Sudan to its independence, even given its control of the mechanics of government? You think he would lose elections?
Yeah, I think the SPLM is potentially a very weighty political outfit, but it has been basically destroyed, has been completely dismantled by President Salva himself. First and foremost, he basically tossed aside the vision of the SPLM. So, although the government of the Republic of South Sudan is an SPLM-run government, there are no policies that emanate from the SPLM to inform government programs and actions.
Do you put that firmly on Salva Kiir, President Salva Kiir Mayardit's shoulders? There is a theory out there, the liberation curse, that says that the people who take a country to its liberation, to its freedom, the freedom fighters, often are very bad in government. That the skills required to be a rebel leader are very different to those required to run a modern country. And that sort of critique would fall not just on Salva Kiir, but on others, including perhaps you, who've been at the heart of South Sudanese political life for decades.
Yeah, you can say that the failure of the SPLM is a collective responsibility, in the sense that people like myself, who have been part of the leadership for quite long, haven't spoken out, basically haven't taken action, But it is not necessarily true that liberators are not good in running governments. As a matter of fact, the SPLM, when you compare it to other liberation movements, is quite unique in the sense that it actually started preparing itself for governance responsibilities. Meanwhile, it was still in the bush. As a matter of fact, most of our SPLA commanders, especially when we were about to sign the comprehensive peace agreement, were sent abroad to undertake courses that are relevant to governments and to provide them with the skills, because in government you need different skill set than when you are in the bush.
So you see the party as essentially a shell of itself, or of its ideals. Why? I mean, is this just, to your mind, a way in which Salva Kiir maintains his grip on power, or are there other factors at play?
Yeah, he's doing that to maintain his grip in power because he doesn't trust his colleagues on the SPLM to be supporting him any longer. In fact, the SPLM, it's like a locomotive, where you have got carriages. The carriages are fine, but the locomotive itself is damaged.
South Sudan's short post-independence history, but even if you go back before its independence, is full of examples of dissidents taking up arms and then afterwards coming back into government. You formed a new movement. Will it be a peaceful one, or are you prepared to use violence to obtain your ends, your desires?
We would hope that we won't have to resort to armed struggle. But if President Salva Kiir and his government continue to resist the transition, so that the transition comes to a halt, then there will be no alternative, not only for me, but for other South Sudanese, other than to resort to armed resistance. It will become inevitable.
But a war broke out in 2013, killing an estimated 400,000 people before a peace deal was signed. And many right now are worried about a return to conflict. Our next guest, Nhial Deng Nhial, has been one of the most prominent figures in the SPLM for over 4 decades, holding a variety of senior positions, including the country's foreign minister.